What it is, my Tinno, Peace and Grease here, and let's talk about Ember today. Now, the reason that we would talk about Ember is because DE is waist deep in a rework for her. And Ember, oh Ember, she's had such a tumultuous history in Warframe, starting with her first big change, removing her overheat, and as a result, making her super squishy, to the most recent change to her fourth, World on Fire, which buffed her damage but nerfed her range, sadly. So let's talk about some of the things that we saw in the dev stream that I liked, some of the things I disliked, and some of the things I'm hopeful that will be brought into Ember's kit. So the first thing we have to talk about with Ember is her passive. Now, her passive is one of those things that, on paper, it seems like a legitimate thing, but then in practice it kind of fails. Now, you can get away with a lot in low to mid-level missions, but once you get to high-level missions, there's not a lot of room for error. Setting yourself on fire, for example, in a high-level mission, not very good. And that was really the biggest drawback to this, is while Ember is on fire, she does generate energy and ability strength. Sadly, while you can do that in low to mid-level missions, it isn't going to happen in high-level missions. Now, I'm not saying you can't use Ember on high-level missions. I know a couple of veterans that actually use her to great effect in high-level missions. But the vast majority of the community is probably going to keep Ember in low to mid-level missions. Now, I am glad to hear that DE has finally come around to the idea that fire should burn away enemy resistances. So, for example, armor. But beyond that, what about shields? We need to make sure that Ember's fire can also burn away shields as well as armor. Let's face facts, fire can be monstrous. It can be devastating. Take a magnesium fire, for example. Those burn like at, 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Just, nasty. Nasty, nasty, nasty. So fire should have no problem burning away any armor or any shields that an enemy may actually possess. So we'll kind of have to see how this passive plays out with the rework going forward. I think changing from the current passive to something else, as long as it's halfway decent, which should be an improvement. Now, the one thing that does bug me when we talk about passive, and it's really that fire should be a guaranteed automatic panic. Because I don't care what you're doing. If I'm at work diligently working away and somebody sets me on fire, I no longer care about what I'm doing. I don't care about social media. I don't care where my phone is. I don't care where I parked my car. I don't care what I'm going to have for lunch. All I care about at that particular point is my ass is on fire. So I definitely think there should be some type of a guaranteed panic mechanic within fire. And I think that this should go beyond Ember's kit. I think it should extend to any fire-dealing frame as well as weapon. Now, that's a big game-wide change, so I don't know how eagerly DE would be to embrace that. But just something I kind of want to throw out there. So we look at Fireball, Ember's first ability, and apparently this is staying. Now, I'm sure some of you are going to say, but Peace, do you have a problem with Fireball? Yes, I have a couple of problems with Fireball. The first problem is the charge time is abysmal. The entire time you're running around trying to hold the button down to charge this ability, you're still taking damage on a squishy frame. That's my first problem. So the charge time is redonkulously long. Second, this is more of a one enemy type of ability, and I think that that's a real shame. If you look at Volt's first ability, for example, that shock can spread to numerous enemies. But unfortunately, because Fireball doesn't scale with your range or your duration, you're pretty much forced to use it on one enemy and one enemy alone. In fact, even on this clip that they show for Fireball, that's all she's doing is using her ability on one enemy. If it did scale with your duration mods and your range mods, it could be far, far more useful, because you could throw this down in front of a door. It could be a nice, wide, long burning napalm patch after you've charged it up. Not just one enemy, but for several seconds, enemies that come through that door are all going to immediately be set ablaze. And I think that that would really bring Fireball up to a decent level. Then we get to Accelerant. Now, Accelerant apparently is going to go bye-bye, and apparently this is going to be lost in favor of a ability that they're calling Immolation, which is supposed to add some resilience to Ember. Bring it on! You know, Ember needs a little bit of damage reduction. She needs some damage resistances and some resilience. She needs that desperately. And so I'm all for it. Hell's yes. You know? However, DE, if you have a tried and true concrete plan in place to provide Ember with some type of resilience, I'll shut up, you do your thing. However, just an idea I want to throw out there, and this is something I've thought about for quite a while now, is why can't we have carbon armor similar to what Atlas has? Just do a straight import from Atlas. And if you're not familiar with Atlas, basically you would use Atlas's third ability to petrify enemies. Once you destroy them, they drop rubble. You pick up the rubble, and that stacks up to armor. And it works pretty doggone well with Atlas. So just do a straight import to Ember. But instead of calling it rubble, you call it carbon, right? Carbon armor. So essentially you would set an enemy on fire, they would die to fire, they would drop carbon, you would pick up carbon, and this would stack to Ember's armor. Now, in order for this to be applicable, you would have to up Ember's armor rating. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That would have to go up. And I'm not talking by 20, 30 points. I'm talking by a substantial margin that her armor rating is going to have to go up by. But in doing so, you can actually end up with a tanky Warframe. And I don't think anybody in the Warframe community would have a problem with a tanky Warframe. Show of hands of people out there that don't want a tanky Warframe. Yet, nobody raised their hand. So it'll be interesting to see how Immolation works. DE, if you want to use the carbon armor idea, feel free. All right? By all means. If you don't, no biggie. Don't. Moving on to Fireblast. Apparently Fireblast is going to get a change. Fireblast with Ember has always been kind of the, in case of emergency, break glass type of an ability. You get in trouble with Ember, Fireblast. You get yourself in a tight spot, Fireblast. Get an enemy that gets too close to you, Fireblast. You run out of milk, Fireblast. Okay, maybe not when you run out of milk, but you get the general idea. Basically, any type of an emergency situation, you hit Fireblast. That's what it was always for. At least that's how I always used it. That being said, it'll be interesting to see how Fireblast is going to be changed going forward. Again, I think if this is going to be the main armor and shield, please don't forget about shield, stripping ability, that's well and good. But if that's the case, I would like to see range like we get on Mag, for example, or range like we get on Nova. That's the real big takeaway here, is we can't have some tiny ass little ring that's going to hit like 3 or 4 freaking enemies. If this is going to be our main armor / shield stripping ability, that's fine. However, range. Okay? We have to have that range, because it needs to actually hit a substantial number of enemies on the map, similar to what Mag and Nova do. Otherwise, why use Ember? Just use Mag or Nova. So it'll be interesting again to also see moving forward how that's going to play out. But then let's talk about Ember Sport. Now, honestly, when the discussion of an Ember rework cropped up, I honestly thought World on Fire was still a viable ability. I looked at it like, well, okay, we up the damage slightly so that it ramps up quicker. We take the max damage or range reduction and we cut that crap in half, right? And then we turn around and we provide some armor and shield stripping on fire, and voila, we've got ourselves a really decent ability here. Now, World on Fire as it stands now, really DE designed it for a player to pulse it. Turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. Because DE is very anti set it and forget it, believe it or not. But World on Fire is going to completely go away. And that's fine. If you've got a better idea, I'm all for it. Let's see it. Let's have it, you know. But basically, when they showed Ember's Fourth on the dev stream, I noticed something that apparently no other content creator noticed. And now many of the content creators out there are losing their mind. And I'm going to get some hate over this, but I'm going to try to do my best to keep it 100. You know how it is. And honestly, when I saw what I saw on the dev stream, I was disappointed. Now, many content creators will tell you, it looks amazing, and they're losing their mind. Ooh, oh, like it's a damn 4th of July fireworks show. Meanwhile, here I am in the back like, wait a minute, did you notice that Vauban's Fourth and Ember's Fourth are the exact same thing? They just changed the color and called it something else, but it's the same exact ability. Did you not notice that? Ooh, oh. No, nobody else noticed it. But yes, Ember's Fourth and Vauban's Fourth are the same ability. By all means, go back on the dev stream and watch it. You will see that they are the same damn thing. Now, DE, I apologize. If this is just a tentative plan, it's not the permanent rework, and this isn't going to be anything close to how you push out this rework, then I apologize. I'll shut the hell up and I'll Blair Witch my ass in the corner. You can put baby in a corner. And forgive me. However, if it was anything close to what you were going to push out as a permanent rebuild, a rework, yeah, I'm sorry, but I gotta cry foul. Now, this isn't that big of a deal. Yes, I saw it. Yes, I'm calling it out. No, I was not blinded by the light, song reference, like many of the other content creators out there. No, I did not ooh and ah like I'm at a fireworks show. This is salvageable, though. How you do it is this. The simple fact is, this is Ember. She's OG. All right, she's an old school frame. She's a frame we've had for a while. So show her the proper respect, the respect that she deserves. How do you do that? Give us a mother effing nuclear strike. I'm talking full-on mushroom cloud. I'm talking stripping armor and shields in a huge area, just a huge swath on the map. I'm talking enemies that aren't set ablaze and killed. They are blasted off the map into oblivion. Those that remain are set on fire or are in a panic, running around like lunatics. And then, once this gigantic freaking area of effect mushroom cloud dissipates, there's radiation fallout. New enemies come into the zone. Boom! They immediately get procced with radiation and start attacking one another. Problem solved. Same basic idea that you have, but instead of just giving literally the same exact cut and paste from Vauban to Ember, or from Ember to Vauban, it actually has an original look to it. But please, for the love of God, please actually have it do some damage. Please have it actually do some armor and shield stripping. Please. The thing that annoys me the most is that, besides gauges on every damn Warframe in the recent past couple of months, because, by the way, the reason I mention that is because Fireblast apparently is going to change to get a gauge. Yes, I said it, a gauge. You know, like we need more freaking gauges. I don't know why DE is on a gauge tear where everything must have a gauge, but there it is. We're getting another one. Whoop-de-doo. But back to World on Fire. Yeah, I just hope that it does some actual legitimate damage and doesn't just displace enemies by ragdolling them. If you don't know it by now, the community hates ragdolling. It's annoying. It is absolutely the most frustrating thing in the game. Well, alright, there are several things that are more frustrating than that, but it's pretty damn frustrating. So, needless to say, Hopefully, moving forward, DE actually changes that up so we actually get a different ability or something that at least looks drastically different from Vauban. But needless to say, there we go. Those are my thoughts, my opinions, my concerns. Let me know down in the comment section what you liked about the dev stream, what you disliked about the dev stream, and even if what you have for an idea or what you thought about my ideas. And until next time, peace and grease.